VNC Bike Rider here. Today I'm going to take you through the brew day process. Extract beer. I'm going to take you through start to finish, show you how easy and fun it is. 3 hours from the time you start to the time you finish your cleanup with extract brewing. I have over 100 batches of beer of experience, and it's all been good. Made every last batch has been good. So I'm going to show you how easy and fun it is. And just do the way I show you. Ignore some of the nonsense that you hear. Don't make it harder than it is. Follow along with me, and you're going to have a lot of fun with it. All right? So let's head into the brewery and get started. All right, welcome. Brew day begins. All right. First thing I want you to do, take 2-gallon bottles of water, throw them in the refrigerator. I already got one in there. So we'll throw in the second one. That's going to help us later on when we go to cool the wort. It's going to be at the right temperature. Not going to be frozen. Perfect. It's going to cool our wort for us. Help us out a lot there. Then make sure you take your yeast out of the refrigerator before we start much anything else, before we start our boil. Okay? Get your yeast out of the refrigerator. Put it aside. If it has an activator like this one did, I've already done it. Slap it like it owes you money. Give it a shake. You got the bottle type, the White Labs type. Just put it aside, maybe give it a little shake, okay? I'm going to put that aside, and we'll go back to him later. He's going to make our wort into beer. Most important thing we're doing today is the yeast, okay? That makes the beer. We just make the wort. Okay. Fill your, I already did this also, fill your brew kettle up, about 2.5 gallons to 3 gallons, okay? Start your fire. Put it on high. All right. Now, what we're going to do is get our specialty grains ready. Got a neat way to show you how to do that. It's easier than the instructions, or a lot of the instructions show you. So here we go. We're going to do our specialty. All right, for specialty grains, I like to put that in they should have given you a muslin bag with your kit. Pour your specialty grains into the muslin bag. Again, do it over the sink. Okay, you just turned the fire on right about a minute ago. We turned the heat on. Electric stove, gas stove, doesn't matter. Turn it on high. You got 3 gallons of water in there. So what you do is take your specialty grains and put it in the pot. Now what's neat is if you have, hopefully your kettle has handles on it. So tie one end into the, on the handle. Okay, there is the bag. It's tied in. Notice how it's just seeping into the water like a tea bag. Okay, we waited the 25 minutes. It seeped 25 minutes with the heat on high. And now it's time to take our specialty grains out, but I like to let them drip for a while. So you want to get every last bit of goodness out of that, out of our specialty grain bag. And you might have something to tie it to, so we're going to let it drip while the water continues to heat. I'm going to let that drip for about 5 minutes or so. I'm just going to tie it up here in the microwave if you have one. What you don't want to do though, friends, do not squeeze it like a tea bag. You see people take a tea bag and they squeeze it to get everything out. Don't do that with specialty grains. You'll get some other stuff in there you don't want. So let it drip. Okay, Houston, we have a boil. All right. First thing I'm going to do now, or according to my recipe, I've got to add my malt. This is dry malt. And I have to do 1 hop addition. All right. So what you want to do is take it off the heat. If you got a gas heat, just turn it off. A gas stove, just turn it off. If you have an electric stove, you want to move it to another burner because the heat stays for a while. So I have an electric stove. I'm going to move it to another burner carefully. You don't want to spill anything. All right. And now we're going to do the additions. All right. Now you want to be careful here because this is where you can have boilovers. All right. Let's start with my dry malt. I got about 6 of these to put in. I'm only going to show you one. I got 6 of these to put in, and a hop addition. We're going to start with that. Now, as you pour in your dry DME, your dry malt extract, stir the whole time. Okay? Keep stirring. Pour it in gradually. Same with liquid malt extract or LME. But when you have the dry malt extract, more likely to have a boil over. I got to do 6 of these bags. So keep stirring, pour it in slowly, and you shouldn't have too much problem. You see, that's bag number 1 in. I'm not going to show you all 6 bags. That's how you do it. Now you can get a boil over, okay? And then what you do is take a water bottle of spray, If this bubbles start to come up, hit it once or twice, it'll go right down, won't hurt anything, okay? Now I'm gonna got one hop addition to add. I'll put in my first hop addition. This is actually at the start of the boil. Here we go. Cut your bag over. Again, you wanna be off the heat. When you add, take it off the heat, stir the whole time while you add your hops. I've got 3 more hop additions to do. One at 45 minutes, one at 15 minutes, and one at 10 minutes, all right? So that went without problem. Give it a good stir using my favorite wooden spoon, which you can use. No problem using a wooden spoon during brewing, because we are in the boil process, right? So we're gonna go back over now to the heat stove, turn the heat back on. Should be boiling in about a minute or 2, and we'll start our boil timer. All right, you notice I use a wooden spoon back there for stirring in when I'm adding the hops and the malt extract. No problem with that. People, you're in the boil at that stage, definitely use it. When you cool the wort, then of course it's a different story. You don't want to use a wooden spoon. You want to go to a stainless steel if you have to do any additions at that time. I did the other hop additions that I mentioned before. Did those off camera. Didn't want to show you again. Same exact process though. Take the brew kettle off the fire, off the heat. Stir it in slowly, no problem. All right, let's get ready to wrap up here. We've got about 15 minutes left in the boil. Okay, we're in about the last 15 minutes of the boil. I just did my last hop addition. So this is the time where you start to sanitize your brewing equipment. And your bottle should have already been cleaned. In other words, scrubbed and cleaned, basically food clean almost. But when we pour in the chilled wort, we have to be sterilized pretty much. And to do that, that's called sanitizing. So you start with a clean fermenter, all right? And then you want to sanitize, and there's different sanitizers on the market. I use Starsan. It's no rinse, although I'm going to rinse anyway, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But I'm going to make up 3 gallons, about 2.5 to 3 gallons of Starsan now. And that's going to sanitize all the stuff that's going to touch the cooled wort, which we're going to get to. So you want to put a ½ ounce of Starsan, or whatever you're using, into your fermenter and fill it up to about 2.5 to 3 gallons. Okay, we made up about 2.5 gallons of our sanitizer, Starsan. Handy device I have is about a 2-gallon bucket also at this point. I'm going to put about 1 gallon of the sanitizer in there. It's going to sanitize little objects for us, or little items that we're going to be using, such as the scissors. It's going to cut our yeast package, also airlock, as well as a funnel. So you put all that into your smaller bucket. Saves time, makes it easier, right? Again, now everything that touches the wort, once we cool it, has got to be sterile, essentially sterile. Operating room clean. All right, we've got our 1.5 gallon of Starsan here. Make sure I have my bung here. And I'll show you how that goes. So now I'm going to sterilize, I'm going to sanitize, what we call sanitize the fermenter. Now your beer is going to be in this 21 days. Your wort first, and then of course it'll turn into beer in this fermenter. So it has to be clean. So I'm going to swirl the Starsan mixture in there around a bit. Shake it up a bit. Again, you've got to roll it and turn it and shake it. Make sure all of these sides, lateral area if you will, of the fermenter get the love of that sanitizer, okay? Even though it's perfectly spotless, I like to go in again. And I'll go in and I'll give it a good scrub with our bottle brush, okay? Make sure you give everything a good scrub. Even though it's perfectly clean to the eye, we've had the sanitizer in there. It's worked on it. It's done its magic. Killed all the nasties in there that can give us bad flavors. It doesn't hurt to go through it again. All right, again, you're going to scrub everything out, and I won't bore you with the whole process. It takes about 5 minutes. And once you get completed with that, pull your brush out, put it aside. Now, this is the neatest thing there is. The Brew Day. It's called a jet bottle washer. You can get it at any home brew shop. Screw it into a faucet, hose if you're outside, no problem. Put it in your bottle and pour out the Starsan. Now the Starsan will pour out. This is Starsan we don't need anymore. I know the instructions on the bottle and many brewers say it's no rinse. I don't trust that. I still give it a rinse. Now watch your back pressure. Any firefighter will tell you that. Gives you a little recoil. Hold it up and give it a rinse. Hot water, minute or two. You want to get all of that Starsan out of there, all that foam out. Starsan's all gone now. I'm going to turn my water off. Let it drain out a second or two and immediately put the bung on, all right? So you want to put your bung on. That's your rubber stopper. I don't want any nasties flying around. Any wild yeast or anything else like that to get in there. So I put it on top. Now he's going to go aside. Perfect sanitation until we pour the cooled wort in there and then pitch the yeast. Okay, just a couple thoughts here. The boil ended. I put the cover on. As soon as the boil ends, you want to put your cover on because you don't want any nasties floating in. I know it's counterintuitive. We want to cool that wort as fast as we can, and we're leaving the cover on. Well, the wort is now going to we're going to have to start treating it like hospital sterile, all right? So the lid's going to stay on. Put it in an ice bath, a water bath, an ice bath. It's fine. You take it from the boiling water and put it right into the sink. This water's got hot already, so I'm going to rotate this water a couple of times, all right? And it will cool down. It won't take too long. All right, let's see where we're at now. We're going to try, I cycled the water again. Let's see what our temperature reading is. Should be close to the 100 degree mark. That's a little high, 105. Okay, we're taking another temperature reading. We're now under 100 degrees, 94 degrees. All right, we're going to move it to the fermenter. We're ready to go. Alrighty then, we've got our wort temperature at the right temperature. It's down there. So what I'm going to do is put my sterilized, sanitized actually, fermenter, put it in a milk container, all right? Great thing to do, all right? So we're going to put it down here. Okay, I got my sanitized fermenter here, got my sanitized funnel here, all right? Take that off the bung. I'm going to pour in the wort. Some people siphon here. I don't. One reason is I want to aerate. I'm going to talk about that in just a second because we're going to aerate. And this is actually aerating as we pour it in. You can see the bubbles it makes as the wort hits the bottom of the fermenter. That's aerating our wort right now. The yeast isn't effective. Of course, it has to feed off of oxygen. And so we're going to have to aerate that wort, and we're aerating it right now. See some solids floating at the bottom. Trube, that's called. We don't need to pour all of that in. So maybe you can see that trube there. It looks like old wet grass clippings. You get down to that, stop. That's not going to ferment. Okay, you need to mark your fermenter at a 5-gallon mark. So pour 5 gallons of water before your brew day, of course, and mark it off with a piece of tape. We're going to fill our water to 5 gallons even. So we're going to add our chilled water, so that's getting us down. Remember, we're at 95 degrees. That's going to get us way down to the optimum pitching temperature. I'm not going to take another temperature reading because I know at this point we're going to be down to about 70 degrees for that wort. And I'm going to check my fill line, and this is perfect. Now we're going to aerate. And take your sanitized bung. This is fun. All right. Go to your funnel. You're done with him for now. I do it right in the milk carton. All right. Put your bung on and just start rocking it. Get a good rocking motion going. Okay, time to pitch the yeast. Finished. I continued aerating another minute or two. And I replaced I took the bung out, put the funnel in, sterilized funnel, sanitized it again. Notice how thick this yeast activator became. I just took this out of I have one more dunk, why not? This and the scissors out of my small bucket of Starsan. We're going to pitch the yeast. That's a fancy way to say we're going to add the yeast. The yeast is your friend. Pour that directly in. You want to get every little last bit of yeast you can get in there, because that's going to make your beer, people. They're the ones doing the real work. We just make the wort. Now, she's already aerated. Just going to mix that yeast up. This may not be totally necessary, just for a few swirls. All right, get a few swirls in there. And I'm ready to put my airlock on in just a second or two. A little more aeration never hurts, right? At least with air. If you ever go to oxygen, you gotta watch oxygen. If you go to oxygen, you can overdo it. Okay, here goes the airlock. The airlock out of my bucket of Starsan. I'm gonna give it a quick rinse of tap water. And I'm gonna fill the airlock about halfway with tap water. Put the top on it. Okay, and I'm gonna put it right into the bung. All right. Now I'm gonna put it where it's fermentation location. If you got a cellar, it's a good temperature between 60 and 80. Perfect. I'm using a freezer here. It's a hot climate I live in. I'm gonna put it in a freezer. I got a temperature controller on it. I'm gonna keep it at a perfect 70 degrees for 3 weeks. We'll take a look at it while it's fermenting. All right. Hi, just some closing thoughts. What you can see behind me is the yeast swimming around. That's the yeast swimming around, consuming the sugars and turning our wort that we made into beer. Pretty good job they do. They do the real work. I said it before, I think. Just wanted to give you a couple closing thoughts. One thing's about water. People worry too much about water. If you can drink your water, it's safe to drink your water in city water. You're on a well that's safe to drink, use it for your beer. Don't sweat that too much. Secondary fermentation. For 95% of the beers we make, the ales, wheat beers, on ale yeast, secondary fermentation isn't necessary. Leave it in the primary fermenter, the one we just used. Leave it in that for 2 to 3 weeks maximum. At 3 weeks, go ahead and package right away. Secondary fermentation is a waste of time on ales, unless it's a big Belgian ale, and you'll know if you're making those. If it's a big Belgian ale, different story. Big meaning 7-8% alcohol or higher. And lager, of course, completely different. Then you're going to go ahead and you have to do secondary fermentation. So, and lastly, gravity readings. People get hung up on taking gravity readings when you're extract brewing. Not necessary. That's something, if you're changing your recipe a lot, if you're doing all grain, of course, that's different, and it's necessary. But in extract brewing, not necessary. Save your time. Make this hobby as fun as possible. And when you get all done with the brew day, that's when you have a beer.